Today I'm going to be doing, hopefully, my very first ever bivy, and I'm going to be doing it right on the summit of Tryfan. So even though the forecast has changed now to say that there's going to be no rain tonight or this afternoon, the drive here, it was absolutely pissing it down. I mean, it was totally torrential. So this could be a very miserable failed attempt at my very first ever bivy. Well, this is definitely my favourite mountain out of all the mountains in the UK that I've done so far, anyway. It is a cracking peak. Pretty much every time you come up here, you're not going to do it the same way. There's just so much variety and loads of different choices. Now, if you've ever been to the top of Tryfan, you'll know that there's no grass, there's no flat spots. There's basically just a load of big rocks. So that's the reason why I've decided to buy myself a bivy and give it a shot on the top of there. The idea here really is that I've camped in loads of different spots, but I've always shied away from bivvies because they're basically terrible for condensation. So what I've actually done is I've opted for a fully mesh bivy. So that should eliminate all of the condensation. And because it's got such a small footprint, I should be able to find a little spot to camp right at the summit, just overlooking Adam and Eve and all that good stuff. Now the weather's actually been fantastic for the last couple of weeks. Sun, not a single bit of rain. Now my bivy arrived yesterday and I've got a free day today. And of course, there's been some rain today, which is the first time in several weeks. Now originally there was a chance of a few showers throughout the evening, and they look like they might have cleared up. And hopefully they have, because this is a mesh bivy, so if it starts to rain, I'm literally going to have to pack all my stuff up in the rain and then descend in the wet at night. So not ideal, but if I'm going to trust the forecast, it should be all good. So we'll see. So fingers crossed everything goes to plan and I get to do my very first ever bivy. So with the current setup that I've got, it weighs a pretty ridiculous 2.7 kilograms, and I can get it all the way down to 2.3 kilograms, but that would only really work for summer camps, and we're not quite there yet. But that base weight is the absolute bare bones, so it doesn't include a power bank, first aid kit, things like that. It does include a head torch, a quilt, the bivy, and a mat and all that kind of stuff, as well as a cook system. So basically everything that you need for an overnighter, but none of the luxuries. So this is a 22 litre backpack that I'm wearing. As you can see there, it is pretty crazy. Now Tryfan starts with a very steep, steppy ascent. It's a bit of a hike in and it's a bit of a slog, to be honest. Lasts for about 15 minutes, so it's not too bad. But as soon as you're done with that, that's when the fun starts. Basically, it's just scrambling from then on all the way up to the summit. There is a path that you can take that cuts out most of the scrambling, but I honestly don't know why anybody would want to come up Tryfan and not do the scrambling. That's what it's all about. This is probably one of the only mountains in the whole of the UK where you get out your car and within 15 minutes, you're scrambling for the rest of the day. So I'll just turn the camera around now so that you can see how far up I've come. As I say, it only takes around about 15 minutes to get this far up, and from this point on, scrambling the whole way. So this is the setup, and it is a 22 litre Black Diamond distance backpack. The 2.3, 2.7 weight is base weight, so it doesn't include the water or the food, but it includes absolutely everything else. The truth is, that's just a bit of a project. The chances are I'm always going to bring little extra bits and bobs, but that would be the official base weight of my Bivy setup, which I think is quite respectable. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of these bottles of water, just so that they're not in the way. Oh my god, they really are eating me alive, it's awful. So now I've got rid of the water. In one of the zip pockets I have got the Petzl Bindi. So this will be the head torch I'm using, and this only weighs 35 grams, so it's really lightweight and packs down into nothing. So because the Bivy is mesh, it's therefore a fair weather camp system. So I don't really need a powerful head torch because it's going to be light for most of the time that I'm going to be using this system. Oh, crikey, I am being gnawed at something rotten. Oh. So in the back here I've got a dehydrated meal. This is Scotch bonnet lamb curry. Obviously this isn't included in the base weight, so I'll just pop that out of the way, and that's all that's in there. So even though this is really an overnight system, I could at a push do a few days really, because this does expand quite well, so I could easily put a few days worth of food in there. So this is the Bivy, and as you can see it packs down really small. Quite a bit of air in there, but I can really crunch that down. So that's the Bivy. With it being mesh, it packs down smaller than if it was like event or whatever. This is the cook system. This is pretty bare bones. It's just got the DCF little pouch. It's got the BRS 300 stove, which is ridiculously light and ridiculously small. I'm not a massive fan of these. I think they take way too long to boil and they're a little bit of a faff, but they do weigh piss all and they are tiny. So as part of this little project, it makes sense to use the BRS. And then inside there, we've got the gas canister. Oh my god. Oh god! I really am being gnawed at something rotten here. Okay, just pop that there. So this is the Enlightened Equipment hood. This weighs just 61 grams, and this is just going to keep the draft off my neck. So I'll just show you this now. So it's got 3 poppers going down, so when you put these in place, there we go. It does keep all of the drafts off your neck. This is really warm and really good, but the only thing is you can really hear the material, so it's like kind of crinkle all night. So I actually don't really use this very often, but for the Bivy system it is going to work a treat for keeping that draft off your head. I'll just pop that on that side there. Okay, so this is the top quilt. As I said before, this is the plus 10 quilt, and it is Apex synthetic, and all I've done is on the bottom, the pull cord, which is used to create the toe box, I've just threaded this through, so it just creates this nice little system that cinches around your mat. So basically I'm just going to slide the mat in there, and this is going to help just bring it all around. As well as that, I've got a strap at the groin area and then a strap at the chest area, so this is going to go all the way across the mat. So I'm just going to pop this out the way now. So that wouldn't be included in the 2.3 summer version. I've got the Xped pillow. This only weighs 50 grams. A nice little tertiary colour. So just to add as well is the top quilt and the pillow are a kind of tertiary colour, a muddy brown. So it helps keep everything inconspicuous and a little bit camo. So that's the pillow there. And then I've got the Nemo Tensor Trail. And this is 488 grams. So this has got an R value of 2.8, which should be fine for the whole of summer, the tail end of spring and the beginning of autumn. So, and then lastly we've got the -6 down quilt, and this will have the toe box set up on it, and it'll just have the one strap that goes right around the mat. As you probably would have seen in my other videos, I don't use a strap for this one. If I ever get a bit too cold, I'll just clip it on itself and then wrap it around me to create like a sleeping bag type effect. But you still have the central part going down there, so you're not wasting down by compressing it. So it all helps save weight and bulk. The quilt only weighs 568 grams, so it's really quite lightweight. I forgot to mention the top quilt weighs 390-ish grams, which is fairly heavy to be honest, but I think the benefit of the extra insulation and the draft exclusion is worth the weight. And the bag, which I said before, is the 22 litre Black Diamond. It's 426 grams, so really, really quite lightweight. And then lastly, we've got the poles for the bivvy. I'll just throw that over there. So I'm going to set the bivvy up now, and I am actually going to be using it for the very first time ever. So I'm not one to do things by halves. I'm going to be summit camping on the top of Tryfan to pop my bivvy cherry, as it were. Right, I'll just pop this out of the way. Okay, and get these. Just put these here. There's not really any flat areas around here. This is the flattest thing I could find. It is on a bit of an angle, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting my backpack on to try and level out a little bit. It's not ideal, but it's going to be quite an interesting wild camp. I'm not too sure that many people are going to have summit camped on Tryfan because you're never getting a tent up here. Hi there. So I'll just set the bivvy up now. So this is a hooped bivvy and it uses the one pole. Get away. I'm hoping this is going to fit on this rock. Looks like it should do. Yep. Just about. So you just thread the pole through a little sleeve which runs through the top, and then it goes into two little cups either side. I'll just do that now. Oh, quite tight. Oh, come on. There you go. Okay. The midges are really starting to kick off now. Okay, so there are 3 pegs so that you can peg this out at the end there, which keeps it in place. But what I found is once you've put the mat inside, that actually keeps the shape really, really well. So I'm just gonna put this down. I'm just gonna get the mat now. So, a little tiny bit fiddly with these, to be honest, especially when you're perched on a rock. So, just pop this inside. So the weights for this setup don't include the pump, because you can obviously blow this up with your mouth, but I'm just going to use the pump because I'm a big fat cheat. So while that's just bumping up, I'll blow this up. So I found that this works so much better when it's hardly inflated. Ugh. There you go. So as you can see now, once the mat's inside and inflated, it actually starts putting some structure into the bivvy. And when you zip this up, it actually keeps everything in shape perfectly, so you actually don't need to peg it out, which is brilliant. Just undo this again. Out now. So we'll just puff up the down quilt to get some nice loft going, and then we're going to use this strap to attach it to the mat. So there we go. Okay, and conveniently this strap actually lines up with the Tensor Trail logo, so I'm going to bring it right across to there and to there, bring it into the middle, and that's exactly where it needs to be. So as you can see, this is all very yellow and bright, which is not ideal for a stealthy bivvy setup. So I've got a very kind of dull green tertiary colour for my top quilt, which is going to make this really blend into the environment a bit better. So, as I've shown you before, we've got the various straps and the cord going round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this over the mat and the quilt, and you'll see what happens. It's going to create a nice little cocoon. Okay, so pull this over now, and that should all be good. So as you can see, if I tilt this round now, I'm going to bring this over. So to be honest, that's actually a little bit more awkward than it would normally be because I'm trying to do it for the camera. But as you can see, you just slip that over and it's all good. You just get this. Just slide this inside the bivvy now. And then last but not least, we're going to pop this pillow on the mat. Right, so I'm going to try and get inside the bivvy. I've put my bag underneath there to hopefully level it out a little bit, but we'll see, because it is a bit of an angled rock. It's got really quite cold at the moment, to be honest. Let's see how this goes. It's going to be quite interesting. Right then, I'll put that in the back there. So I should now be able to get in here. I can definitely feel it's on a bit of an angle, but it's not too bad. Definitely making a difference, that bag. Oh, whipped in the face. Yeah. It's definitely sloping down that way, but I think I think as long as I lie this way, which is quite handy facing Adam and Eve, I think that should be good. So I'll just zip this up now so you can see. There we go. So I can actually feel it is it's getting quite clammy actually. I think it's getting to be quite humid, so I think it might still get damp even though I've got a mesh bivvy. So we'll see, but I can already feel it a little bit clammy inside, so there you go. Oh, it's nice and toasty though. So it is angled quite badly on the side, so I might go and see if there's anything I can do about that. There we go. Yeah, so it does slope quite badly, that side. I think as long as I face that way when I'm sleeping, I should be all right. I can't do anything about my feet, they're definitely going to slip. Yeah, should be all right. I'm a little bit of a princess when it comes to sleeping on a level surface, so let me have a think. I think possibly well, it's definitely one of the more interesting places that I've ever decided to wild camp. Right, let's see if I can do anything about this angle. Oh. I think if I double that up, that'll probably help. Need to keep those pesky bloody midges out. Oh god, they're everywhere, they're everywhere. So I slide around quite a bit. Obviously there's not much in the way of grip on the bottom. Well, it's getting pretty cold now, so I think I'm probably just going to get inside and just hit the hay. What time are we on now? So 9:30. So yeah, I'll probably see you in the morning, and hopefully we'll get the sun rising just between Adam and Eve there. Bloody lovely. So I've actually decided to move, so I'm not too sure if you can see here, but the slab that I was on, it was on just a bit too much of an angle, and I found that I was slipping off. So I've decided to move the bivvy a bit further over here. There's not that many options around, to be honest. So there's Adam and Eve there, and I've decided to put the bivvy there. I hadn't originally thought about putting it here because if I just lift this up, it's over a few different rocks there, so there's like a little gap in the middle. The mat levels that out quite nicely, and it lifts my head up a little bit, so it's not too bad at all. Alright, well, I'm finding it very unusual being in the bivvy, to be honest. I'm finding it interesting that I don't have the tent to kind of just move around in and be in, you know what I mean? So if I want to do anything, I've got to get out the bivvy. Which, to be honest, it's gone quite mild now, so it's not too bad. But I can imagine if the weather wasn't too great, if it was a bit colder, it probably wouldn't be ideal. So as I say though, this is the very first bivvy that I've ever done, so it's bound to feel a little bit strange not having a tent. So get off. No, these little midges are doing my head in. So you know, time will tell. But I think I quite like it. I like the fact that, you know, I would never have been able to camp here any other way, and I like kind of being able to do different things. So I I think most of my camps will still be in a tent, but I do think that it opens up some, you know, opportunities to be able to camp in interesting places, having a bivvy like this. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how tonight goes, and if it's I'm totally being eaten alive here. If it works out well, then yeah, I'll definitely be doing some more of these because I like the idea of it. So yeah, too sure if you can see Adam and Eve over there in the distance. Oh, just noticed we've got a star coming out. Yeah, so it looks like the sky might clear up actually. It was really cloudy before. Yeah, so quite interesting if we get a nice clear night with some stars and things, which really is where I think this tent's going to come into its own. Because what I've noticed is when there's some sunlight, you can't really see through this too well because it reflects. But as soon as it went dark, it was almost like it went invisible and I could see through it. Obviously it had a kind of tinting effect, so the stars wouldn't be as bright. But you can always just undo the mesh for a couple of seconds just to let the flies in, you know, and eat you. So the light that I'm using here is multicoloured, so what I might do is when it gets a bit darker, I might have a little play around and see if I can light up Adam and Eve a different colour and then light up my bivvy with my head torch. Might look good, might look shit, who knows, but anyway. Right, so before we lose too much light, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna give it a good test and just make sure that it works. It looks like it should be all right. And to be honest, I think that was my last resort. The place where I'd originally set up, it seemed okay, but when I was on there, it was a bit too much of an angle and there's just no grip whatsoever on this bivvy. So the more you kind of toss and turn, the bivvy just started slowly sliding down. Yeah, so I think I would have almost definitely ended up slipping off and just waking up with a rock in my face. So wouldn't have been ideal. I think this is kind of enclosed. I can't come off this side because of that. And then there's some rocks there. So even though this might not be perfect, I think it's the best I'm going to get up here because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just loads of rocks. There's no real flat area. So yeah. It's quite interesting because it is, as I showed you before, it is just two rocks with a gap in the middle, and I would never really have thought about it until it became a bit of a necessity as I was mooching around when the light was fading. So yeah, quite interesting. It'll be good if it turns out to actually be brilliant. You often find things through necessity that work out to be actually really good. So fingers crossed this will be one of those. Anyway, I'm going to get inside and try and get myself a little bit warm and just make sure that everything works okay. Because if it doesn't, I'm probably just going to have to descend, which is fine. Do you know what I mean? It's quite mellow, it's good weather. So I'll be all right getting down in the dark if it came to it. But I don't think I'm going to have to. I think we should be good. So I'll either see you on the way down or I'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning. That was a really quite interesting camp last night. Well, you can just see here where the bivvied blends in really, really well to the rocks. Beautiful sunset there. And then just across, you see Adam and Eve there. So you're supposed to get the spirit of the mountain if you jump across that. And interestingly enough, I think I've probably been up here about 100 times. Not once have I ever jumped across Adam and Eve. I've stood up there and I could easily do the jump, but I just look at it and my brain just says, no, you're not doing that, dickhead. It's one of those things where I just think, if you fall when you're doing that, you're probably a bit of an idiot. You know, it's really quite polished at the top, but I don't know. I don't really feel like I've got anything in particular to gain by doing it, so I just don't do it. Maybe one day, who knows. So there really is a very, very icy chill this morning. It's about 5 degrees ambient, but it's quite breezy. So I reckon it's a sub-zero with the wind chill. Yeah, and you could feel it inside the bivvy, which is to be expected with it being completely mesh. I think it was mitigated as much as possible with the dual layer of quilts. But yeah, not as comfortable as a tent, but definitely allowed me to camp in a more unusual place than I would normally be able to camp. So I'm happy with that. So what I'm really surprised about, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, it's got fairly wet really straight away. It actually, yeah, you can see a little bit more here. It got wet quite quickly. As soon as I got into the bivvy, it was already wet, so it was obviously just in the atmosphere and it wasn't condensation from me. The wind's picked up a little tiny bit in the morning, so it actually has started to evaporate a little tiny bit. And what I'll do is I'll just drape the sleeping bag over a rock for a bit just to let it dry off. Right, well, just on my way down now. I'm going to be descending the west, I think it is. Very scrappy it is on the way down here. Always a bit of a pain trying to figure out exactly where it is you're going. It takes most people about an hour and a half, 2 hours to ascend Tryfan North Face. The fastest time I've ever done it was 2 hours up and down. And when I say 2 hours, I mean exactly 2 hours. 2 hours, 0 minutes and 0 seconds, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, pleased my OCD immensely. So I'll tell you what was really quite weird. Is this morning around about 4 or 5 o'clock, I heard a bloody cuckoo on the summit of Tryfan. And I don't even know if those things are even native to England, let alone tops of bloody mountains. But 100% there was a hoo-hoo. So unless there's another bird that makes that noise, I was definitely visited by the mystic cuckoo. So I've been thinking about this on the way down, and I did really enjoy that. It was actually a very, very comfortable camp once I'd moved my spot. And I mean, it was breezy, you know, and it was a bit colder than I was expecting, but it was actually fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've been colder in a tent. So I think all in all, I'm really impressed, and definitely going to be giving Bivy a bit more of a chance. So I do think that the double layering of the quilt helped, but obviously with it being mesh, you know, you're going to still get a little bit of a draft in there no matter what. But it wasn't too bad, you know, and it was only really about 5 in the morning, when it always gets really, really cold anyway, no matter what, that I felt it. So yeah, I mean, pretty pleasant night, the whole night. And what I really enjoyed the most about it was the fact that it's just a really obscure place to camp. You know, it's not something that you'd normally be able to do. And I can really see myself using the bivvy a bit more in the future, just to camp in more unusual places, like actually on Striding Edge. I'm going to go up Bristly Ridge one day soon and see whether it's possible to actually camp on the cantilever, which I think could be quite epic. I think for that one I possibly need to secure the bivvy with some climbing gear and some slings, but that's easy doable, and I've got all the gear I need for that. So yeah, watch this space, because I think there's going to be some interesting videos in the future where I utilise the flexibility of the bivvy. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I'm trying really hard at the moment to grow the channel, and it is growing, but I seem to have hit a little bit of a lull at the moment, so it really would help if you smashed that subscribe button, as the knobheads say. So let me know in the comments below as well whether you've ever tried bivvy camping. If you have, do you prefer camping in a tent or a bivvy? Just let me know what your experience is. I'd be quite interested to find out. So yeah, I'll see you next time.